Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. There was a huge story that broke last night on Monday Night Raw. It has sent shockwaves through the world of professional wrestling. It's all anybody can talk about, and it's something that's going to change the face of everything going forward. And in case you haven't heard, and maybe you've been living under a rock or you're quarantining yourself a little too hard, that news is King Corbin is going to be coming to Monday Night Raw next week. Aren't you excited that they're bringing back the wild card, but they're calling it something else? They're giving it some different kind of rules, and nobody really cares about any of this going forward. It's only going to make things a whole lot worse. Whether the networks want it or not, it only means dark days ahead for us. Such huge, earth-shattering news coming out of the WWE. Oh, by the way, and Becky Lynch is pregnant. And we are going to talk about all of that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
So we'll kick off doing the right thing, as it is just what everybody is doing. It's the right thing to do, and it's congratulating the happy couple. Congratulations to Becky Lynch. I feel like if there was any reason to step away from your dream and from your position in the world and what you're working towards accomplishing, having a child is definitely an awesome reason to have to put your dreams on hold. And she may never get back to where she has found herself, and that might be hard to believe. When she decides to come back, I'm sure she will be right back to where she was when she left. But it's amazing. It's really amazing, and it's a heartfelt, genuine congratulations to the man and to her man, the Monday Night Man Bun, our good buddy Seth Blockins, who has me blocked on Twitter still, and that's fine with me. I hold no ill will because he can't take a little criticism from some guy sitting in his home studio, but that's okay. That's okay. I hope that they have a wonderful pregnancy. I hope that she's happy and healthy throughout, and I hope that they give birth to a healthy child. That child is going to be a wrestling super freak. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be another one we can add to the list of the generations ahead that we have to look forward to, more than likely, in professional wrestling. It's a great thing. It's wonderful. What's not wonderful was the show. As always, Monday Night Raw was a complete and total trash heap. The way that the WWE decided to go about the announcement of Becky's pregnancy, and subsequently how they booked Money in the Bank and decided to use it this year, just is absolutely awful. It's cringeworthy, it reeks of unoriginality, and just a sheer lack of creativity. It's complete laziness, is really what it is. You have to believe that they know, or they had known for at least some time, that Becky Lynch is pregnant, or maybe thought she was pregnant. Perhaps they didn't know months ago leading into WrestleMania, but this just goes to show you that they kind of did this to themselves. The WWE, in their arrogance of thinking that they know what they're doing is correct, failed to have Becky Lynch drop the title to Shayna at WrestleMania. Had they done that, had they made that proper maneuver, we wouldn't find ourselves in this awkward position right now, where we had to watch Asuka win the Money in the Bank last Sunday that just passed, only to have her be awarded the Women's Championship the following night, rendering her victory at Money in the Bank pretty much, what's the word? It's kind of inconsequential. Like, she became the number one contender, and thus they just handed the belt to her. That's just such a BS way of going about this. There were so many different ways they could do it. They backed themselves into a corner by not doing the right thing at WrestleMania, so Becky Lynch should have just dropped the title tonight. She came out vacate the title due to personal reasons. Everybody would be happy for her still, and you would have Asuka with the Money in the Bank, and you could have had any sort of situation. You could have had a fatal four-way of the other four women that exist in the women's division on Raw, and just have them have some sort of a way to come up with a number one contender who could then face Asuka and then go on to see who faces, or who is the champion, rather. And you can even have Asuka lose there and she still has her Money in the Bank, maybe, and she can cash in. And I don't know. There's a ton of different ways they could have went about it than this. Giving somebody a championship is just not right. It doesn't feel right. And though she won the Money in the Bank last night, it doesn't feel earned. Apparently, the WWE higher-ups knew this, and the belt was in the briefcase the whole time. Don't you think that maybe would have upped the ante to the girls in this matchup if they would have known beforehand? Oh, by the way, this isn't just for the contract. Becky's stepping away. This is for the Women's Championship. And maybe not have the men involved. And take it seriously. That would have been a great way to go about it as well. And aside from that obvious debacle, and now Asuka sits as our champion, which is fine, I guess. The rest of the show speaks for itself, with one moment that was interesting, which happened to be the baby daddy Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Man Bun himself, making himself interesting because the guy's having some sort of a catatonic shock going on. No emotion. It was kind of weird starting the show knowing that Seth Rollins is going to be a dad, and then seeing how they portrayed him tonight, it's just completely two opposite ends of the spectrum. You got to believe that if Seth Rollins was still a babyface, he would have been all over this. They would have had the guys pouring champagne over his head in the back, just like they had everybody and their mother congratulating Becky Lynch. They wanted to talk about Becky and her pregnancy at least every half an hour. It was a little bit much, but they didn't want to reference Seth Rollins being the father at all, because heel's gotta heel, and nobody can feel anything for Seth Rollins because he's a bad guy. But whatever, that is what it is. But Seth Rollins tonight was interesting. I didn't mind what they did with him tonight. What I did mind was almost everything else. From the squashing of Zelina Vega and her boys again, they started this faction, and now, before it's even had time to even get some legs under it and to get moving, they're starting to disband it. Austin Theory, for some reasons, got a crick up his ass, and he's starting to get mad at the other guys, maybe because he's not Spanish. Is he Spanish? I don't know, but he's the one guy that doesn't have a Latino last name, so maybe they want him out. Maybe he doesn't want to be around them anymore because they keep making him lose. It would be nice if they would let this story flesh out and give us some reasoning behind it instead of just watching them bicker back and forth with each other for no apparent reason whatsoever. And then make it look like, well, we're going to go with this now, and Austin Theory's going to be pissed, and we're going to see some sort of a breakup of this faction, only to have them all immediately squashed by Drew McIntyre, our WWE champion, coming out and just Claymore kicking everybody back into oblivion, back down into the mid-card, and get out of my ring, because nobody wants to see you guys here anyway. At least that's what I think Vince McMahon feels. He's just using what he has available, but he doesn't care about these guys. So from one week to the next, we're getting the same matchups booked over and over. No care put into it at all. Because he doesn't care about any of this talent. It's clear. One week to the next, everything is changing. Yet the matches stay the same. We got to see Drew McIntyre versus Andrade again. But they didn't give them 25 minutes to put on an excellent champion versus champion matchup that they are absolutely capable of, given their history back in NXT. They gave them the regular old match that we've seen them do on Raw probably about 6 times this year. Good win for McIntyre, good showing. It wasn't a bad match, it's just the same match over and over again. You want to couple all that went on with the apparent resurgence and reinvigorated push of the almighty milk dud, Bobby Trashley. All of a sudden, we got to take him seriously again. MVP's interested in being his representation. That's pissing off Lana, making her do nothing but scream at the screen, which made me want to vomit. Lana standing there looking like she painted herself in gold paint. Absolutely useless she is at this point. With Rusev gone, why is she even still here? They still have her married to this guy for what? To play out some useless storyline that nobody cares about anymore? It's kind of fizzling out on its own as it is. Get it out of here. Well, we got to see Bobby Lashley on multiple occasions tonight. Get your box of milk duds out so you can keep popping them down because you better enjoy it. Hope you like this delicious caramelly, chocolatey, covery goodness. Because he's going to be all over this show. He had a near 10-minute match with Dr. Dimples, Humberto Carrillo. I can't even believe this guy's still around. The one thing we could be thankful for is at least they didn't have Humberto fighting one of his Latino buddies. At least he's fighting somebody different, somebody 3 times his size, somebody he obviously is going to lose to in this scenario, which is exactly what happened. And nobody cared. And it was a no disqualification match. Why? Why are they wrestling no DQ? Is Humberto mad that Bobby Lashley is a human representation of a box of melted milk duds? Is Humberto Carrillo jealous that he's got Lana for some reason? Maybe Lana's Humberto's cup of tea. Why is this a no disqualification match? What are the ramifications? There are none. What's at stake? Nothing. So why no disqualification? It makes no sense. Absolutely none. We were also, I want to say privileged, but I'm using that sarcastically. We were privileged to see the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders and their terrible basketball game. Why do you have the 2 top tag teams in the division playing 2-on-2 in some basketball gym somewhere in front of nobody for no reason whatsoever? You're continuing to try to make the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders likable? We already liked them until you ruined them, and now continue to do so with this comedy shit. Not every tag team in the division needs to be a joke. What's next? What's next? You got them singing carpool karaoke this week. They're playing basketball. What are they going to do? Have a Dairy Queen ice cream eat off next week? See which team can eat the most ice cream? Or have a smoke off? Not the good kind of smoke off, but like, who can smoke the best meat? I don't know. Why don't you come up with more bullshit that I don't want to see? I wish nobody sees this from WWE. They'll take those and be like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's have them have a barbecue cook-off. They want the smoke. Terrible stuff. This is the type of shit that they're giving us. And it's just awful. It was awful. All for the Viking Raiders to lose like 77-0. And then be like, oh no, by the way, we actually can play basketball. We let you guys win. And then you see these guys dunking. What? That's not even funny. That makes no sense. You made yourselves come off like losers and score no points to show that you can dunk a basketball? Is that supposed to impress me because you're a big fat white dude? I don't understand. You're athletes. You should be able to do something like that. Holy shit, man. Monday Night Raw, I'm watching 2-on-2 basketball between 2 jackass tag teams that used to be awesome. What are we watching here? I asked myself on multiple occasions during the show, why are we watching this? I say we because I think of myself as a one-man interpretation of the entire collective of the Sledgehead Army, and I sit there and go, why are we watching this? Why are we watching Jinder Mahal? Why are we watching Angel Garza versus Akira Tozawa again? Why is Akira Tozawa constantly being put on this show to lose? Why is anybody going to be made to take him seriously at all? You're not. Monday Night Raw hurts my head. It just fizzles out my brain. In fact, when I think of Monday Night Raw I feel like I probably look like this. This is what my face probably looks like when we are watching Monday Night Raw. Yeah, pretty Ricky. Not so pretty, are ya? Or maybe it's better like this. Maybe I look more like this. Maybe my hair's down. But at the same token, I have that dumbfounded, shocked expression on my face that I shouldn't have. And R-Truth shouldn't have it. We shouldn't have seen the return of Pretty Ricky tonight at all. Or maybe more accurately, my face maybe looks like this. Because I'm angry. I'm very angry. I'm confused. Then I go cross-eyed and I just succumb with rage. This is what I look like. This is what we all look like. We look like this. We look like this. Or we look like this. But make no bones about it. That's the Monday Night Raw faces. That would be the faces in the crowd. That's every face across America watching the screens at home while we're watching Pretty Ricky. We're watching the return of the Iconics. We're hearing announcements of this brand invitation nonsense. We're going to have Baron Corbin on Monday Night Raw next week because they don't know of anybody better on SmackDown that they could have put up against Drew McIntyre. No, it's not Otis, the Money in the Bank winner. No, it's not The Fiend, the other the other person that should be champion on the other show. It's not Braun Strowman, the guy who is the other champion on the other show. It's not going to be Sami Zayn because he's not coming to work. It's not going to be Roman Reigns. He's not coming to work. But this is what they think we want to see. They think we want to see Baron fucking Corbin. None of us want to see him on Friday. We don't want to see him twice a week for sure. We don't even want to see him once a week. So those are our faces. You can't tell me I'm wrong. A moment of bliss shows up on Monday Night Raw. It's supposed to be on SmackDown, but I guess now because they're the tag team champions, they can go wherever they want. So they show up on Monday Night Raw to give us a moment of blech. And to make it even worse, the whole point of this was to have the re-emergence of the Iconics. And I want to always be fair to everybody, and I was. Now, I wasn't a fan of having to hear their voice again. Their music hit, and you kind of get that, oh, God. And again, why am I watching this? But here they come, traipsing out. And you know what's going to end up happening, and I didn't expect them to have a matchup tonight. But of course, they end up in a back and forth with the champs, and they challenge them to a match. And next thing you know, we have the Iconics versus Bliss Cross Applesy. And what do you think happens? The Iconics win this match. And after watching this match, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's really good to know that in all their time away, they really took the time to work on their... I can't even say it with a straight face. To work on their in-ring skills. You know, maybe they came back and would steal the show with just how much better they got. No, but they just focused on their Instagrams and their Twitters and all this shit while they were raised. And it seems to me that they are exactly the same as they were when they left. There was zero improvement, zero effort to make any improvement, because I didn't really see all that much. This match was not worth anybody's time. It was a waste of television time, and considering all the players involved, the person I feel the most bad for is Nikki Cross, because she is a talented wrestler. She had a great character, and she's just been lost in this tag team division madness and this ridiculous team with Alexa Bliss, which I really didn't think was going to go as far as it did. Freaking just go to sleep type TV. Nobody needs to see this. We heard that on Friday Night SmackDown we're going to see Otis on Miz TV. Oh, joy! Joy! Miz TV with Otis. Fantastic. And Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is going to be on SmackDown. So if you needed another reason to not watch SmackDown, there it is. We go backstage, we see MVP encouraging Bobby Lashley, telling him he's got to stay angry, he's got to stay focused, everything is awesome about him. His full Nelson is amazing. He's never seen a full Nelson before, apparently. Whatever. I like the pairing of the two. I really do. But immediately pushing them up against Drew McIntyre, which seems to be the trajectory in which they're going in, is not the right thing to do. If you're going to start over with Lashley, start over the right way. Stop giving him squash matches and 8-minute long squash matches with Humberto Dr. Dimples Carrillo. And let's start taking things seriously, but they will not do that. MVP then bumped into Lana and was like, hey, listen, if he ever needs some representation, tell him I'm not hard to find. Lana decides to scream at the TV, and I decided to go bang my brains in with this hammer. But luckily I didn't do too much damage, and here I am for you guys tonight. We talked about the Iconics defeating the Tag Team Champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, in less than 10 minutes. In fact, I think it was just a little bit over 5 minutes. Yeah, nice showing, champs. It's the WWE's MO. Here's our champs. Some people will come in, they will beat them, and now we will have our new challengers for the championships, and then the champs will retain at the next big show. Whoop-de-frickin-do. A 6-man tag, which I wish I didn't have to see. Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, and Pretty Ricky R-Truth defeated MVP Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. And I could care less. This was a 6-man tag that barely went 5 minutes, and I don't care. You got R-Truth out there with this Pretty Ricky thing that wasn't funny 10 years ago when he first brought it out, or however friggin' long ago it was. Feels like ages ago since we've seen this. And I almost forgot about it when he first turned around. I was like, what the hell is he doing? And then I went, oh shit, that's right. I remember this now. And I wish I didn't. I wish you would have left it dead and buried in my brain, but now I have to remember it. Thank you very much. And here we just have more 50-50 booking. Brendan Vink and Thorne win last week. Alexander and Ricochet win this week, and back and forth we go. We're going to add people. We're going to take away people. We're going to have singles matches, and it's just going to keep going round and round. And why these two guys are suddenly getting a push. And the funny thing is, I'm not talking about Cedric and Ricochet. You would think they are the ones that you'd want to be focused on, but apparently it's Thorne and Vink, who's got the worst name right now in all the professional wrestling. It's apparently very high on Vince McMahon's list of favorites. I don't know why, because he just reminds me of a poor man's version of Wade Barrett. I don't know why I said a poor man's version. I should have just said an alternate version of Wade Barrett. I don't know. Whatever. Charlie Caruso was backstage with Jinder Mahal. Next. Nobody cares. They showed a special look at the Undertaker series after a break, and then AJ Styles pulled up a chair to watch with some popcorn. Great. Still no explanation as to how AJ survived or was removed from the burial of that match that we see at WrestleMania. Whatever. We're just going to go along with business as usual. Shayna Baszler was interviewed tonight about Becky Lynch's announcement, and she was on fire here. I thought this was great. Shayna Baszler wondered how stupid you have to be to get knocked up while being champion, and she brings to the forefront a great point. While it is fantastic for them to be expecting their first child, it is somewhat irresponsible. You would think she just signed this new deal with the WWE. She's set to be the champion. They have all these plans in motion, and now she's got to come to work and be like, sorry guys, I got to hit the bricks and take a break right now, and you got to change gear on everybody. So she does have an actual point there. She said 10 out of 10 mothers will try to convince you that having a kid didn't ruin their careers, insinuating that all of them would be liars. Lynch was the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion and was throwing it all away to have some parasite. She made reference to the fact, and the only person that made reference to the fact of, you know who that kid's father is, right? Without actually saying his name, but making the insinuation that she's got the Monday Night Man Buns demon spawn within her. Pretty much what she was saying. She made jokes about Becky Lynch going to be gaining weight. That kid's going to suck. You know who its father is. I rest my case. Pretty brutal stuff. She would go on to tear apart Natalya also later in the broadcast, which I thought was mildly amusing, and then would physically tear apart Natalya in a match they would have later on, which I thought was okay at best, and I don't know where they're going to go with Shayna Baszler after they put her in such negative light over the last couple of months, but whatever, it seems maybe she's on the uptick. You know what else is on the uptick? Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black, 24 hours after being thrown from a rooftop. The WWE wants to explain this away with, well, there was a secondary roof underneath that was only about 6 feet below. Great. So these guys were thrown off of a ledge, fell 6 feet. And then Rey Mysterio wants to tell a story about how he laid there with Aleister Black. And they bonded, apparently. And they both made a decision that we're not going to do nothing. We're just going to lay here on this ledge 6 feet below the action because the match is about to be over. This is what we heard. But now, 24 hours after them doing this less than fantastic stunt that didn't have a payoff shot to really make it seem like anything cool was happening there, we get this announcement that they're okay and they're clear to wrestle and they're going to be on Monday Night Raw. Fantastic. They're going to have a tag team matchup tonight. They're going to go up against Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Way to sell a Money in the Bank match, right? You got King Corbin being rewarded for almost murdering both of these men, and now Rey Mysterio, after miraculously surviving a 6-foot fall, along with Aleister Black, they're clear to wrestle. I feel like Rey Mysterio was only been brought back to be everybody's punching bag. You know what I mean? He's had his head planted into his cement floor about 1,000,000 times. He's now getting his eye gouged out by Seth Rollins. He was thrown off the top of a roof. Why in God's name is Rey Mysterio still with the WWE? I'm still trying to figure it all out myself. Shayna Baszler beat Natalya in less than 5 minutes, where the most interesting thing about the match was after Natalya lost, which we all knew she was going to do, she decided to throw a tantrum. Now, I don't know if this means she's going to be turning once again, because Natalya turns about as often as the Big Show. But does it matter? No. It matters about as much as the interview Charlie Caruso had with Constable King Dickhead Baron Corbin, where he said he was willing to do whatever it took to win last night, trying to explain why he threw Mysterio and Black off the top of the roof and that they were lucky that there was a secondary roof to fall on because he actually meant to murder them. That was his intention. Fantastic. He then went on to say Brock Lesnar didn't make McIntyre the champion that he is today. Corbin did that himself by taking McIntyre under his wing. Corbin would show the world that this was true when he gets his hands on McIntyre next week. And we will all know that this is what makes him the king. I don't care. I had zero interest. I barely listened to him. It was not worth my time. And then the main event segment where we had the confrontation between Edge and Randy Orton once again. And this was boring. This was uninteresting because I don't understand why we're going back to this. This feud, as everybody with two eyes that work can tell you, came to its conclusion at WrestleMania in a 45-minute long match that was boring as hell. And I don't know whether they're revisiting it to try to give it a do-over and give the fans a pure wrestling match. But all this is doing is extending something that doesn't need to be extended, something that was finished. And this isn't what we want to see with Edge going forward. This is actually another example of them being ass backwards. This is what should have happened at WrestleMania. You should have had their first encounter be a straight-up wrestling match where you could have had Edge overcome Randy Orton and get his revenge, and then Randy could be like, hey, listen, the better wrestler may have won that night, but I'm the better man, and now I challenge you to a street fight. That's how this works. You escalate. You don't go down and you don't go backwards and make things less interesting. You're supposed to start at point A and move on. But that's not what the WWE does. They do everything backwards just for shock value. Oh, we're going to give you no holds barred, falls count anywhere. Randy Orton versus Edge. End of this feud, end of this rivalry, blah, blah, blah. But then they're just going to go back to it and think a regular match is going to be what satisfies us now. It's not necessary. Whether it satisfies you or not, whether you're a fan of Randy Orton, which I am, or a fan of Edge, which I am, this is not what you want to see either one of them doing right now. I was hoping that they were going to move on to other things. There's plenty of other talent around. You got Edge and Randy Orton on the roster, and you want King Corbin to come and face Drew McIntyre instead of maybe doing something with Drew and Randy? Or even Drew and Edge? Or maybe make that a way for them to stay in each other's cap. Both of them gunning for one more World Heavyweight Championship, which happens to be around the shoulder of a Drew McIntyre. But no, we don't get any of that. We get Edge versus Randy Orton going to happen again. Charlie Caruso wants to say, look at the camera and say, oh, this might be the greatest wrestling match of all time. What? Well, both of those men have the capability to put on some tremendous wrestling matchups to be the greatest wrestling matchup of all time. Come on, man. Something just felt off about that. Nothing felt genuine. Nothing felt authentic. And it doesn't feel important anymore. The importance was there. The build was there. The attack on Beth Phoenix, the attack on Edge, everything was orchestrated perfectly. And the blow-off match didn't really go off as planned or as the fans really wanted it to, but it happened and it's over and it was fine. There was no reason at all to go back to it. Just another one of those reasons why Raw makes my face look like this. Or this. Or this. And that's our Raw review. That's it. We're getting out of here. No reason to talk about it anymore. It was barely worth watching. It's not really worth talking about much more. The state of professional wrestling continues to just be a drain on all of our lives. Hopefully things start to get back to normal sooner than later. I know it's really not going to be like around the corner coming at us, but man, I miss the old way that it used to suck. I mean, wrestling sucked for the last couple of years, at least for as long as we've been doing this podcast, and there were always good moments trickled in there in the WWE, but with the way it is now, as most of you guys know, it's just dreadful. It's dreadful. I don't look forward to it, but I do look forward to talking to you guys with it. We've been a little bit behind schedule as of late, but we are here with our Raw review. I know the diehards are probably the only ones that are still sticking around. I don't know what happened with the Money in the Bank review and why everybody thumbs downed it so quickly. Maybe you were mad at me for being late, but hey, listen, guys, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, and that hasn't happened in the last few years. So if I have a couple of hiccups here and there, you know, I don't expect such a hard hammering from my sledgeheads. I mean, a little bit of loyalty would be nice, and it would be nice if you guys enjoyed this video. You can give me a thumbs up on this video right now. All the thumbs up help these videos get circulated, so you'll be doing your part as a loyal sledgehead to get this video out there. You could also do that by sharing this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they have that Monday Night Raw face. And now they'll understand why. Because this show sucks. They make everything unimportant. The things that they want to feel important don't go off the way they should, are not interesting to any of us watching at home. It's only to fulfill the wants and needs of one psychotic 70-year-old man who seemingly just won't do what's right and give this company to somebody else, at least in a creative fashion. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. And the most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, now would be the time to do so. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and become a Sledgehead of the Sledgehammer Army only here on Sledgehammer TV, where we are accumulating the coolest, hottest, smartest, newest faction of fans across the YouTube wrestling community, to which you can consider yourself one. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing whenever we upload some of our great wrestling content. Don't forget to check out our this is the Monday Night Raw review. Don't forget to check out the Money in the Bank review, since they wanted to turn it into funny with some pranks. You want to see what I have to think about that? If you might have missed it, because it went up a little late, it'll be in the annotations up above. That's going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Bang.